Hey everybody, Tracy Brown here for this episode of Momentum, where we come together to build momentum on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time as a reminder that each one of us has committed to interrupt or end race-based hatred and violence. And we need encouragement to do that. We need reminders to do that. And so every week I come and share with you an idea or a trend, some tips, or a technique that you can use to demonstrate your commitment. Or, like tonight, something that you can use to keep you motivated to go forward, to step in, and to have the kinds of conversations you need to have with the people who you come into contact with wherever you are. Momentum is connected to the Facebook group that I am the founder and the moderator of, What Is Mine to Do, where we ask ourselves the question every day, what's mine to do to interrupt or end race-based hatred and violence? And all of us can be involved in community organized activities. We need to be involved in politically related opportunities and activities. But all of the things we do in the collective don't change the need for each one of us to take responsibility, to join in conversations, or to educate the people we come into contact with, the people we work with or worship with, the people who are our neighbors, the people who are strangers that we interact with when we're shopping or doing some hobby or recreational task. There are just so many opportunities for us to be doing this work that ultimately changes the collective consciousness and creates a different environment. So this week, I am going to share with you a quote that inspired me, and I hope it will inspire you. I was looking at, I was looking for a quote that I already know, and I knew it was in one of my favorite books of collections of quotes, great quotes by people of color, titled Language is a Place of Struggle. And I knew the quote I was looking for. I knew it was in this book. You can see I use this book a lot. It's marked, and there are a number of pages that are folded. But when I opened the book, I picked it up off the shelf and I opened it to a random page, and there was a quote. It was like the quote jumped off the page and said, "Hey, I don't think you've ever read me before. Check me out." And I loved it. And I immediately knew I wanted to share it with you. So this is a quote written by Richard Wright, the novelist that you may be familiar with. And here's the quote: I do not deal in happiness. I deal in meaning. I do not deal in happiness. I deal in meaning. Whoa. And I think that jumped out for me in relationship to this conversation about interrupting or ending race-based hatred and violence, because so many people say to me, well, I think this is really important, but I don't want to offend anyone. They're offending you by saying something racist or doing something that is denying equal rights or equal respect to people who are different from them. That offends you, but you don't want to offend them by something that you say or by pointing out that what they're saying is based on a stereotype. Okay, that doesn't make sense to me, but so many people ask that question, or they admit they're afraid to offend someone. We don't want to offend someone, but if we are locked into this idea that we're going to talk about this difficult subject called race or racism or race relations, but we want people to be happy, we've got to get beyond that. Now, Richard Wright wrote this quote: I do not deal in happiness, I deal in meaning. And something that he published in 1957. he wrote a piece that, and I had to go look it up because I was curious about when did he write it and what was it a part of. He wrote it as a part of an article. It wasn't in one of his novels. He wrote it as a part of a piece that he wrote titled White Man Listen. And he wrote it when he was living in Paris or in Europe. And but it was published in the US. And in 1957, with all that was going on, he was trying to explain what is so important about people, all people, paying attention to what was happening around race and racism in the US. And this is the paragraph this quote is in, quoting Richard Wright. Recently, a young woman asked me, "But would your ideas make people happy?" And before I was aware of what I was saying, I heard myself answering with a degree of frankness that I rarely, in deference to politeness, I rarely permit myself in personal conversations. Quote, "My dear, I do not deal in happiness. I deal in meaning." What I want you to do this week is what I'm doing this week as I contemplate this particular quotation. I'm going to check myself in terms of, am I shrinking away from a hard conversation because I want everybody to just get along and be happy? I don't have to dive in as an attack with the things that I say or share. I don't have to attack other people, but I do need to be grounded in the meaning. What is the meaning of interrupting race-based hatred or race-based violence? And why am I doing that? Why am I willing to speak up? And how can I bring this up? Or how can I coach someone? Or how can I share feedback with someone in a way that is respectful, even if it will not make them happy? So I hope you will use this quote too. I do not deal in happiness. That's not my job to make you happy, but it is my responsibility to let you know that when you did that, it could be interpreted a different way than you intended. It is my responsibility to share with you that I don't appreciate when you tell jokes about a person from that racial or ethnic group, even though none of us in the room or in the circle are a member of that group. It's disrespectful. It's not kind. And if it's based on a stereotype, it's probably not even true. I choose to speak from and live from the meaning or the why of helping to create a world where people are respected and valued, and they are not disrespected or devalued based on their racial or ethnic identity. That's my why. I want to live in a world where that is true. What's your why? And how does that show up in conversations when you decide that you will not deal in, navigate, negotiate, or be limited by making other people happy, and instead you will choose to be driven by, to be guided by meaning? That's my momentum for you this week. I hope you'll hang out with me over at the What Is Mine to Do Facebook group on Facebook. I'll see you there.